Week number 3 of the college football season is upon us, and it's hard to commit to only one word to sum up this past Saturday. Alabama narrowly escaped against Texas with backup quarterback Hudson Card having to step in for the Longhorns after Quinn Ewers got knocked out of the game late in the first quarter. Bryce Young in that fourth quarter demonstrated why he won the Heisman last season. BYU outlasted Baylor in double overtime after both teams combined had 3 missed field goals in a row. We also saw the rise of the Sun Belt Conference. Marshall upset Notre Dame, Appalachian State upset Texas A&M, Georgia Southern upset Nebraska, which ultimately sealed the fate of Scott Frost. And we weren't done with the upsets at that point. Washington State upset Wisconsin, Kentucky upset Florida, Kansas, that's right, Kansas, upset West Virginia, and now the Jayhawks are 2-0 on the season. With so many upsets taking place only a couple of weeks into the season, I can only imagine how the rest of the college football season is going to play out. And with that, let's get to the Week 3 college football predictions. We begin with a historic rivalry. Number 6 Oklahoma goes on the road to Lincoln to take on a broken and desperate Nebraska team. As of the moment I'm recording this, it's been a little over 24 hours since it was announced Nebraska parted ways with Scott Frost, and now Mickey Joseph takes over as the interim head coach for the remainder of the 2022 season. And what a challenge for Mickey Joseph as his FBS coaching debut begins against a top 10 team in the nation. Right away in this game, I can imagine Eric Gray and Marcus Major are going to have a feast on the Nebraska run defense, as the Huskers are currently 115th in rushing defense, allowing an average of 207.3 rushing yards per game. Sooners quarterback Dylan Gabriel has completed over 70% of his passes this season. Perhaps this is a good time to mention Nebraska is 125th in total defense, allowing an average of 492 yards per game. However, there are 2 bright spots for Nebraska in this game, and one of them is quarterback Casey Thompson, who threw for 388 passing yards and 5 touchdowns against the Sooners last season when he was with Texas. The other bright spot is running back Anthony Grant, averaging over 142 rushing yards per game. This is an 11 a.m. kickoff, and I am bringing this up because sometimes the higher-ranked teams struggle in early kickoff games, especially on the road. I am picking Oklahoma to win the game. However, I do think Nebraska makes this close, as this is a Nebraska team that has nothing to lose but a lot to gain. Fresno State takes on number 7 USC in the Coliseum, and this USC offense is looking like one of the best offenses in the entire country and one of the most exciting teams to watch, averaging 53.3 points per game, tied with James Madison and Michigan for the best scoring offense in the country. I am intrigued to see how Fresno State comes out and starts this ball game, as last week Fresno State suffered a heartbreaking loss to Oregon State on the final play of the game. Jake Haener, who I feel like is one of the most underappreciated quarterbacks in all of college football, is 8th in the FBS in passing yards, and for Fresno State to just have a chance to pull off this upset, he and the Bulldogs need to play a perfect game. The issue with that is I can't see them coming close to having a perfect game, despite everything we've seen so far this season with the upsets and a lot of teams having a hard time pulling away in games. I think Caleb Williams once again has another stellar game, and the Trojans keep fighting on to take the win in this ball game. However, as much as I think that this has the potential of being a blowout, it does also have the potential of being a barn burner. And if Fresno State can just stay in this game from start to finish, then you have a chance. Because the longer you're in the ball game, the stronger your chance becomes of pulling off the upset. We saw that several times last week with App State and Marshall and Georgia Southern. The objective, stay in the ball game and you have a chance. But even if USC starts off slow in this game, it will only be a matter of time until the offense wakes up. So I think USC, I think it's possible they win big, but also possible becomes a barn burner. But either way, USC takes the victory. Texas Tech takes on number 16 NC State. The Red Raiders are coming off of a double overtime win against Houston without starting quarterback Tyler Shutt. NC State had a lot of high hopes coming into the season, which included being a contender in the ACC conference, as well as being a threat to win the conference. They avoided the upset bug in Week 1 against East Carolina, as East Carolina missed a game-tying extra point, as well as a go-ahead field goal in the waning seconds of that matchup. I don't think the upset bug will get them this week, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got close to them or even got them completely based off of how the first couple weeks of the season has gone. But I like Devin Leary to have a big game this week and lead the Wolfpack to a win, but I don't know if they're going to cover. Donovan Smith last week, the backup quarterback for Texas Tech, 36 for 58, 351 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. But he also threw 3 interceptions, and he got sacked 5 times. So I am picking NC State to win this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if Texas Tech made it a ball game or even won this game. But I'm sticking with my pick of picking the Wolfpack in this matchup. Next up, number 11 Michigan State goes on the road to take on Washington, where for the Huskies, this is the first test of the Kalen DeBoer era. Husky quarterback Michael Penix Jr., the Indiana transfer, has faced his fair share of Big Ten opponents with an 8-5 record against the Big Ten Conference, which includes a win over Mel Tucker's Spartans. Now, the way I see this game playing out, if Michael Penix Jr., if he's able to make the plays, the Huskies are going to pull off the upset, and this is going to be the first big staple win in the Kalen DeBoer era. The Spartans did not have a good secondary at all last season. In fact, it was the worst in the country last season. Now, with the 8-5 record that Michael Penix Jr. has against the Big Ten, he averaged completing less than 60% of his passes and just over 228 yards per contest in those games, which are not good numbers at all. In fact, they are game manager numbers at best. But if Penix Jr. manages the game well, then the Huskies will pull off the upset. In fact, I'm going to call the upset here. I think the Huskies pull off the upset, and this is the first major staple in the Kalen DeBoer era. The forecast does call for some rain on Saturday, but the rain should be gone by game time, and the Huskies, I think, pull off the upset of the week. Number 22, Penn State heads to Jordan-Hare to take on Auburn. The Nittany Lions defeated the Tigers 28-20 in last season's matchup in Happy Valley, the whiteout game, where Nittany Lion quarterback Sean Clifford went 28 for 32, 280 passing yards, and 2 touchdowns. Auburn running back Tank Bigsby had 102 rushing yards in last season's matchup. Auburn has only played Mercer and San Jose State this season, and they could never pull away against San Jose State last week, only winning the game by a score of 24-16. Now they take on a Penn State team that has a comfort behind win against Purdue in their season opener and a dominant 46-10 win against Ohio last week. For the Tigers, can Tank Bigsby have another 100-plus yard performance against Nittany Lions defense, now coordinated by Manny Diaz, one of the best defensive coordinators in the entire country? Auburn quarterback TJ Finley came so close to pulling off an upset last year against Alabama, and now he has his moment once again to pull off an upset against a top 25 opponent, but I don't think it happens. I like the Nittany Lions to win another close one against the Tigers. I think this game comes down to the wire just like it did last season, and the Nittany Lions will once again come out on top. And I think it's possible that we're going to see some questions being raised in Auburn as far as what is the fate of head coach Brian Harnson, as there has been rumors that they don't like the commitments that he has off the field. Number 12 BYU heads to Autzen Stadium to take on the 25th ranked Oregon Ducks. BYU is coming off an emotional win in double overtime last week against Baylor, while Oregon is a 3.5 point favorite in this game. BYU has a good history against the Pac-12 Conference, including going 5-0 against the Pac-12 last season. The Cougars have won 7 out of their last 8 games, dating back to last season. Oregon's 49-3 loss against Georgia in Week 1 I don't think defines them as a team or defines how their season will turn out. I am taking the Ducks to win this game, as I don't understand the harsh criticisms that Oregon faced after Week 1. I get they lost 49-3, but they went up against the defending national champions. And Georgia is now the number 1 ranked team in the country. And they're the defending champs for a reason. Like, I get if Oregon lost to, like, sort of say Vanderbilt, or if they lost to Kansas, then I get the harsh criticisms, but not the defending national champions. I think the Ducks win this game. I think Bo Nix has a coming out party in this game. Well, I do like the quarterback of BYU, Jaron Hall, as I think he is also underrated, just like I find Jake Haener underrated and underappreciated. I think Oregon wins this ball game, and I think they win in a dogfight. BYU, they're not just going to lay down and die in this game, but Oregon will pull it out in the end, as I think this game will come down to the wire. But Oregon comes out on top. I think Bo Nix makes a big play in the fourth quarter to get the Ducks the win. Wrapping things up with number 13, Miami, Florida, and number 24, Texas A&M. Now, this was almost a top 15 matchup, and the game where College Game Day was going to be at this Saturday. But the Mountaineers of Appalachian State, they had other ideas and other plans. Last week, we saw both of these teams get off to slow starts, and we saw different results. Miami ended up beating Southern Miss by a healthy margin. Well, we all know by now what happened to the Aggies. And many are starting to question Haynes King, as he only had 97 passing yards against the Mountaineers last week. Are we going to see a quarterback change in this game? Does Jimbo Fisher turn to junior quarterback and son of former NFL quarterback Brad Johnson, Max Johnson? Or does he give Haynes King another go? I do want to point out, Vegas has the Aggies as a 6-point favorite in this game. And I don't get it. I even question if they even watched the game against App State last week. You can argue and say that A&M is significantly more talented than Miami, but they're also more significantly talented than App State, and App State beat them last week. You can also say that it's a primetime game at Kyle Field. 100,000 plus are going to be screaming all game long. But I don't think that matters. I think if Jimbo Fisher, if he does what I think he's going to do, I think Miami's going to win this game easily. So in my opinion, I feel like that Vegas is giving out some free money here. But I did say that they were giving us free money with Pittsburgh last week being I think it was 7.5 point underdog. But I think that he does start Haynes King in this game, and if Haynes King has another bad performance like he did last week, I think questions are going to start circulating on whether or not Jimbo Fisher is truly the guy. As much as A&M, we've seen their defense so far this season as a bend but don't break defense. The defense can only carry a team so far. We saw that with Clemson last season. We've seen it with Iowa so much in the last 10, 15 years. We see that with Wisconsin all the time. I expect Miami quarterback Tyler Van Dyke, who is projected to be a first-round pick in April's NFL draft, to have a good game against A&M. I would be surprised if he got held to less than 300 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. But for the Aggies to win this game, they have to get running back Devon Achane involved. As Devon Achane, other than the kick return to tie the game at 14, he was nearly non-existent in the game, as he was the only one to show up. But they need to get him involved early on in the game. They got him involved in the game when they were down 7-0 early on. Only 10 carries last week for Achane for 66 yards. And that's not going to cut it against Miami. I'm taking the Hurricanes in this game because not only do I think is Jimbo Fisher going to start Haynes King in this game, but last week was a complete season breaker for the Aggies. And that will do it for my Week 3 college football predictions. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Comment your predictions down below. And enjoy the college football this Saturday.